Good morning, brothers.
Morning.
How's it going, John? Carlos?
Doing great.
Brother, great day to be alive. And
It is, yeah.
Kids are back to school. It's almost fall. A little chill in the air in the morning. It's kind of nice.
yeah, what a beautiful day today. I know I need a haircut, Woody, but you know.
You do. I was just looking at that.
I've been having to cut my own hair because I'm like, I got to get, every week I'm like, I got to go down and see Woody, And then my hair is getting longer. I get busy. And my wife's like, what are you doing? She said, you're leaving hair all over the bathroom. I said, well, didn't make it down to Woody's. You know?
Come on, I got to make a living, guys.
I'm going to make it down there. My boys are due also. Rory's hair is like freaking like long. He's got like his hair is real thick. It's almost like a fro. It's interesting. Yeah. They're going to, I remember I had long hair when I was a kid and the girls used to braid my hair and stuff. I loved it. I feel like, heck yeah, I'll take any attention I can from the ladies. I mean, except for now I'm a one lady man.
Right.
I mean, I don't let anybody braid my hair anymore. So what I wanted to go over in this one was basically just the WHO declaring an international emergency with monkeypox. They changed it to Mpox because I think monkeypox was deemed sensitive or something. I don't know. They had to rebrand it, I guess. So they started calling it Mpox. So whatever, there's an Mpox emergency declared across the whole world with the WHO. And I kind of want to go, saw this video the other day where it kind of explains how the WHO has nothing to do with preventing any pandemics or anything like that. It's really, if you look at what their answer is we need vaccines. We need more vaccines. And that's all they really do is just push vaccines. That's literally, they never push ivermectin. They never push hydroxychloroquine. They never push like any natural, cheap or
well, they are the militarized arm of the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah, and they're all interlinked. And whether it's the NIH, the FDA, the EPA, the WHO, the WEFers. So we've been having the WEFers and the WHO and the Bill Gates and the Yuval Noah Hararis and pretty much all the talking mouths of the globalist structure basically saying it's not a matter of if, but when. We need to prepare for the next pandemic. There's been a lot of talk about the bird flu, now the monkeypox.
I think the whole medical profession's become about big pharma. I mean, a big percentage of it is all vaccines and, look at the vaccine schedules now for kids. I mean, both my daughters are getting ready to have my first grandkids, and they've been diving into it, and they're like, wow, like, man, you want to watch a good one, that Candace Owens Shot in the Dark, that exposes really, what is a wellness check for? You always took your kid to a wellness check, really, but why would you take them if they weren't sick to a wellness check? Because they needed their vaccines, you know?
Yep.
It's all about it.
Yeah, more and more people now I'm talking to are saying, hey, if I could do it over again, I probably wouldn't even vaccinate my kids at all. And I'm hearing that a lot from people.
Yeah, there's a lot of coercion with this, though, where your kids you pay into the system. Most of us pay into this system, but regardless whether you're on welfare or not, your kids are not going to school. And you got to pay to go to private school or homeschool. Used to have personal belief. There used to be religious. There used to be medical. Well, they still have medical, but it's very, very difficult to get. You'd have to pretty much have a doctor say, man, if they get a vaccine, they're going to just die right on the spot.
But did you know it's a state law? If the school's 95% vaccinated, they have to let your unvaccinated kid in. It is a California
That's what they consider herd immunity at that point.
Yeah. So
really?
Yeah. So I just worked with Jackie LaBarbera. One of my friend's sons isn't vaccinated, was going to go to West Valley, and they said, no, he can't. And Jackie called him and said, oh, yeah, this is a state law. And he's going to West Valley now. So
wow.
A lot of people, you need to know that.
Wow. Yeah. That's freaking awesome. You just keep them home when everybody else is getting vaccinated that week, right? So the shedding fact. But anyways, that was a little bit of a smart aleck comment. So, that's freaking awesome, man. Well, don't tell too many people because there's going to be a lot more than 5%.
Yeah, exactly.
But it seems like, if not a matter of if, but when, usually they tell us what they're going to do. If you're paying attention, they're prepping people. They're getting people ready for the next pandemic and just making
skids.
Yeah, the COVID-19 was just a beta test for the next one. And look how much control they got over it. Look how much obedience they got. They had people with iPads at Walmart keeping track of the greeters there at Walmart, keeping track of mask, no mask, mask, no mask. And you even heard people like Fauci say, well, it's just kind of a sign of obedience. And, so I think they really figured out how many people are going to go along with this stuff when it comes around. But go ahead and play this video one. And
the rapid spread of a lethal version of Mpox in Africa and now to Europe is causing increasing alarm. The World Health Organization has declared it a public health emergency of international concern, calling for urgent action to bring it under control. Mpox, previously known as monkeypox, causes fever, rash, lesions, severe headaches and fatigue. Some people have difficulty breathing or swallowing, and there is a risk of life-threatening sepsis or blood poisoning. So far this year, there have been more than 17,500 cases in at least 13 African countries. That's up from 15,000 for the whole of 2023. But it's the situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo that triggered the WHO's warning. There have been more than 15,000 cases this year and more than 500 deaths. Just over 2/3 of the cases in the DRC are children under 15. The fatality rate is almost 9% in babies under the age of 1 and approximately 4% in older children. The outbreak in the DRC is being driven by a new version of the virus.
In 2022, we saw Mpox in the UK, and that occurred largely as a result of sexual transmission and also direct contact transmission. And there were more than 3,000 cases in the UK in 2022. This clade 1 virus, though, is more concerning because it has been expanding very rapidly. It appears to be more transmissible, and it's associated with a higher mortality rate.
There is a vaccine against Mpox, but it's not clear how effective it would be to the new variant, and only 200,000 doses are available. The African Centers for Disease Control says 10 million are needed. By declaring a public health emergency of international concern, the WHO hopes to accelerate access to testing, vaccines and drugs. Without rapid action, it fears the virus could go.
All right, go ahead and turn it off. We need rapid response. We need more vaccines. We've only got 200,000. We need 10 million.
Yeah, trillions of dollars
right away. We need international support. We need the funding. We need to. Oh yeah, there we go. Go ahead and pull that article up. Government lab in Maryland plans to create a hybrid monkeypox strain that is more deadly than the one currently spreading in the U.S. That's the dailymail.com. Fauci's all involved in this stuff. They're playing around with mice, they're taking two different monkeypox strains and putting them together in a gain of function hybrid fashion.
That sounds a lot like COVID.
Yeah, right. I mean,
weren't they just talking about the H1N1 bird flu last week too? Isn't that something they're just created a vaccine for too?
Oh, yeah, they got all kinds of vaccine. That's why I'm saying I'm not going to make the prediction that it's going to be monkeypox or the bird flu. We did a pretty good one on bird flu. The bird flu could be more of a situation where they use that to cull your animals and I think it was just Lonnie and I that actually did that one. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I called it culling the animals or whatnot. But they can actually come in, say you have a cow that tests positive for and they use a PCR test, a polymerase chain reaction test that Kerry Mullis, the inventor, said you cannot actually figure out what somebody is sick from with that test. That's only works on isolated microbes or whatnot. So anyways, they could come in with a PCR test and say, well, your cow's got monkeypox, or your chicken, monkeypox. Your cow has bird flu, or your chicken has bird flu, right? Or your sheep has bird flu, whatnot. Then they could test anybody within 6 miles of the edge of your property. So think about how much power that gives them. If they can go to your property. Now, people are going to be dumb enough to go, man, my cow's sick. I need to, have these call it. It's actually part of the agricultural department. It's a special division of the ag department that will come and test your animals. And so imagine if you're like, oh, my cow's sick. Maybe it's got that bird flu or something like that. They come and test it with the PCR test. Oh, man. And then next thing you know, they have the right to go and test all your neighbors. And think about with 6 miles from your property, think about that. I mean, they basically would be able to domino effect, checking base, going around everywhere. And then they're just going to say, hey, you got to kill all your animals. You got to kill all your birds. You got to kill. So anyways, that bird flu could just be a control mechanism for controlling the food supply, controlling you being self-sustained. I mean, what's the biggest danger to globalism is being self-sustained, growing your own food, raising your own livestock, having your own water. All these things are under attack because if we lived off the grid and were self-sufficient, we wouldn't need them and all their corporations, their corporate power, and they would all be gone. We wouldn't be slaves anymore. Well, we'd still have to pay property tax, so you'd have to figure out a way. Even if you had everything paid off, you'd still have to make a bunch of money just to freaking make your. That's a whole nother subject, but. Getting into, I mean, it seems like there's a big push and something's about to happen. I mean, I think a lot of people are seeing that coming. But on whether I'm right or wrong, this episode, I want to kind of expose the WHO. Go ahead and play video 2.
The World Health Organization was a criminal racketeering organization as defined by the Sherman Act and the Clayton Act. And by that I mean interlocking directorates.
This is David Martin. Intellectual property risk analyst.
Market domination and market controls, all of which are defined under the Sherman Act. This was a violation of the law when it was set up in the 1940s. And we have to go back to the foundation of what the WHO is and recognize since 1953, it has been exclusively a vaccine promoting enterprise for the benefit of the people who have commercial interest in vaccines. If you read their opening charter and all of the hearings that gave rise to their opening charter from Bretton Woods in July of 1944 to its actually founding charter in 1950 and 53. What's missing from those conversations is who is writing the checks. And back then, and you can look, and it's all in a matter of public record, Rockefeller Foundation and the Wellcome Trust were the check writers. Giant surprise. Why were they writing the check for establishing the World Health Organization? And if you think it was because we wanted to have information sharing and research and scientific collaboration, then you're actually not reading the actual records from those meetings, because those records were about distribution of drugs. Those were ways in which we could actually force drugs onto countries so that they actually had to take dumped drugs that were dumped out of Germany, the UK, and the US, and they had to adopt those. So you're right. I mean, exactly what you're saying. In an interconnected world where we have air travel and sea travel and we have all of the flow of people, we absolutely should have the ability to monitor and surveil the condition of health so that we have an awareness that says, hey, there's a problem, let's intervene. But the problem is that we have to have a financially disinterested party making those determinations and making those surveillance observations. Because the minute the people who have a financial incentive to have gain from the decision to declare a pandemic, the minute they're the ones who are collecting data, guess what data they collect? Giant shock. They're going to collect the data that actually justifies their existence. As long as the financial interest that dictates what product is going to be promoted is the one making the declaration of the pandemic, we have no possibility for accountability. We have no possibility for justice. And what we do is we allow people who were formed out of the eugenics office, Carnegie Mellon in 1913, that same group of people that were the same group of people that established the World Health Organization in 1953, that same group of people are the ones who are making this decision. And I don't know how you feel about eugenics, but I have a problem with it.
Yeah, he pretty much broke it down pretty good right there. Go ahead and pull up. GeoVax stock soars 43% to rally in companies developing Mpox treatments. Latest stock move comes after rival Sega said a trial of its Mpox antiviral failed to meet its goal. Okay, so go ahead and go to the actually, where did I go here? Okay, go scroll down a little bit. Scroll down. Okay, so GeoVax stock has gained 389% in the month to date. 389% GeoVax. They're the one making the monkeypox vaccine. So I'm just talking about how this is big money. Okay, go to the screenshot now. I did a little research on who owns GeoVax. This is just a little bit of research I did this morning. Oh, Vanguard Index Fund.
Imagine that.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's no money being made on this stuff. There's no insider trading or corruption. Just throwing it out there that you could actually see. Oh, man. Oh, well, that's right. Vanguard right here. I got this in my blind spot. That was bad. Vanguard is...
Why is BlackRock's not in there somewhere, huh?
Yeah, well, if you go and look at some of these individual people and some of these other companies, probably. But, I mean, that's about all I got to say, to be honest. I don't have a lot more to say than that. It's just get ready. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a direct energy weapon. It could be. I could be completely wrong. Nothing could happen. But all the signs are pointing towards...
You got to follow the money. If you see money moving around and people starting to allocate funds in certain places, that means something, you know? So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I think there's a lot of people who, like myself, I've never been anti-vax. I was just anti-COVID vax. But now, as time's gone on, I start to see what's actually going on. I'm like, shit, I don't want any of it. You know, it's all bad. You know, you start looking at it, and maybe COVID was a good thing in that it woke us all up to go, hey guys, look at the entire pharmaceutical industry, not just this one part of it. You know, and it'll.
Well, if you look at the people behind the WHO, let's just focus on that. I mean, it was the Rockefellers.
Yeah.
They're straight eugenicists at the top of all of this stuff. And why are the cancer rates? I mean, if the medicine is so good and the vaccines work so good, why are we going from 1 in 100,000 people or 1 in 50,000? I think in the 50s, it was 1 in 50,000 people with autism and stuff like that, you know, to where it's 1 in 36 now.
Yeah, super high.
Absolutely. Now they're saying, well, you know, it's a wide spectrum, and we're all autistic, you know, and some part of the spectrum, you know, and that was never a conversation that was had when we were kids years ago, and it's an interesting thing.
I talked to my dad about that on the drive here. I said, Dad, look at, since they keep upping these vaccines, I said, when we were kids, we didn't even know anybody that was autistic, you know, and now, I mean, you fast forward to like in 2002, one little league team I coached had 4 autistic kids on one team, and I had never even met one as a young guy, you know. So I mean, something's up for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and it takes a lot of time for these things to manifest. It's not like you're getting a vaccine and then you're seeing these results right off the bat. You know, I mean, this is kind of a generational thing. You know, so it could take 10, 20 years for a kid to start to show symptoms from a vaccine he got when he was a baby. So, yeah. To be told, I guess, huh? To be determined.
Well, it's going to be a wild ride between now and November. I mean, today the Democratic National Convention starts. And they have over 100,000 protesters there. So
yeah,
I mean, Chicago, basically the South Side's like blocked off. I saw a clip of a father and son that went to breakfast over way up on the north side because they didn't want to be down there in that South Side. I mean, what's that all about? If the Democrats are so united and this, you know, this great party, why do they have 100,000? You didn't see that?
I saw it this morning. There was a bunch of protesters, you know, and So those Democrat protesters.
I know. Yeah. So it's weird. Weird times.
Right on. Well, thanks a lot, guys. That was, unless you guys want to chime in on anything else.
I think we'll kind of have to watch this. You know, that's pretty interesting because we knew this. We knew that, you know, at the end of COVID, that was not the actual end. That, you know, COVID might be behind us now, but it's what's next. Like you said earlier, John, I think that was just a prefix to what's going to happen.
Well, what they do is they take a bunch of your freedom, then they give you a little bit back.
Yeah.
And then they take a bunch more. It's like an anaconda, right?
Sure.
What are you talking about?
Sure. Well, and then you think, oh, that wasn't so bad. You know, like when we were in COVID, like, oh, that sucked. Now we look back, like, it wasn't so bad because we forget. We have short memories. You know, we forget how bad it was. And so the next one, like, well, we'll just kind of take it as it comes. But I think they tried this too. I think, remember last November, they started to talk about COVID again and shutdowns again and everything else. And
didn't work.
People just wouldn't go for it, you know. Yeah. So hopefully when something like this comes, people can see the writing on the wall and say, no, we're not doing that this time.
Yeah. Hold the line.
Absolutely. Cool.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right.